Hey folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video. I want to let you know that I got into the editing room after we filmed this video and I was having trouble with my microphone. So please bear with the little clicks and pops that are going on here. It's something really cool and I really wanted to show you. Right here's the video as I'm editing it, but I found that it had a lot of clicks and pops, so please be patient with that. And I hope you enjoy the video. It's really very informative and really something neat and cool to watch. So hopefully there won't be too many bad audio problems, but there was a problem with my microphone. Alright, enjoy the video. Hey folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome to the farm vlog today. Me and Mrs. Stoney Ridge are sitting here in the kitchen. We're going to show you how we extract our honey. So a couple days ago we robbed the honeybees. We took the honey supers off the beehives and we ended up getting 16, 17, 18, about 22 frames of honey. So that's going to equate to somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 pounds of honey, give or take 100, 110 pounds of honey. And right over there are the supers. Right there's the super wife. And right there are the supers. And right here is our 9-frame extractor. And this uses centrifugal force to spin the honey out. So we're going to go through and we're going to show you how we uncap our honey and how we extract it. All right, so let's go have some fun today. Woo! First of all, let me tell you, when you get to filming here in your house, you realize your kitchen's pretty small. And I've got a bit of a modern art masterpiece right over here in this window frame. Just like to keep it real with a little bit of modern art here around the house. I got some chores that need to be done. So I'm going to take you around and show you each piece of equipment that we're going to use and how it's all going to work out, and then we'll demonstrate. Okay? So here's what we have. We have the honey supers that are full of honey, and basically we have 2 8-frame supers right here and 1 10-frame with a few extras in there, so 16, 20. Over here is our uncapping station, and we have a large tote I'm going to say about 8 inches tall, and then a smaller tote inside, and you'll see how all this works very shortly, but we'll set our frames on here to uncap them with our uncapping knife. And right here's our uncapping knife, and this knife is plugged into the wall right here, and it reaches a temperature of probably 160 degrees, enough to not scorch the honey, but enough to uncap the honey. And for the hard to reach spots, we have this uncapping comb right here, and we'll demonstrate that too, okay? Now around here behind me is our 9-frame extractor. And we bought this 9-frame extractor somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 years ago. It's just like brand new, and you crank this handle right here, and basically it spins the honey. Smooth operation right there. So it spins the honey and it slings it out against these walls right here. And once it hits the walls, it runs down into the extractor, and then it comes out right through this honey gate. So here is our honey gate, and that's what this is called. There'll be links to all this stuff that I'm using in the description down there, okay? So we'll close the honey gate for now, and we'll start extracting here in just a second. Now I have 2 types of filters. I have this strainer, just a standard strainer, and it's got old wax in it. It's okay, it's clean. And then I have another bucket strainer. So I catch the big chunks in this, and then I catch the smaller chunks. I think this is like a 2-micron bucket strainer, and it's just stained from honey. Now we have a food grade bucket in here, and that's basically the whole operation. So guys, before we get started, I want to let you know that we still have the Stupid Shit Hurt shirts and the Stoney Ridge Farmer goat shirts still available on bonfire.com. There's a link down below. If you want to help support the farm, we've got 4 different shirts out right now. And if you want to help support the channel, that's a way to do it. All right, so let's get busy here. First thing we're going to do is take honey from here to the uncapping station. We'll uncap it and we'll load our extractor, which is behind me, full of honey. So we have 9 frames capacity on this. We'll show you how the hot knife works. We'll show you how all this stuff works, and we'll get sticky. All right, she'll hand me a frame. We'll grab it right here and we'll hit it with the hot knife. I'll show you from a distance, and then I'll show you a little bit of a close-up a little bit later on. And the reason why we have this whole setup, let me get you a little close-up, might as well. The reason why we have this whole setup right here is so you can set your honey frame on a pedestal in here, and take your hot knife and just uncap it. So basically all we do is take our knife and it just melts the top right off of the honey. And all the cappings and all the honey that falls down into this pan, it'll all be utilized. But this is so much easier than squishing it like some people do. You know, if you just take a little bit of time and invest the money in the right tools, it just saves you a lot of time and a lot of effort. And this is something we planned on keeping bees for quite some time, so we went on and bought the right tools. First frame is always a little bit interesting because you got to get your technique back. Now some of these spots won't uncap as good as others, so we have to use this little uncapping knife right here, or uncapping, I guess you'd call it a comb is what I call it. And basically we just pick out, pretty simply, we pick out what we need here. So you can see right in here, this didn't uncap with the uncapping knife, and sometimes you run into that when it's a fairly narrow frame. So we just take the uncapping tool and get in here and pop the caps loose. See if we have any spots over here, and if we do, we'll uncap them. Very important you uncap every one of them. If you don't uncap everything, when you spin it around inside the extractor, you run a risk of it pulling through because it's not able to get rid of the honey, so it adds weight to the center and will pull the frame through and could damage your frames of wax here. Now we'll put this back outside and let the bees clean it up, or we'll add it right back onto our honeybee hives and they'll have already drawn comb ready to put honey in. They don't have to work and draw out any comb. It's pretty cool. People think that just honey magically appears in the jar when you have honeybees, but this is a time-consuming, messy process, but it's really something special time you can share with your loved ones right here and have some fun and show the fruits of your labors, the fruits of the honeybees. We planted somewhere in the neighborhood of, well, we planted about 40 acres of new grass, and we mixed in clover with all of our grass. So we should have some nice poplar honey and some nice clover and wildflower honey. Alright, so we'll uncap this one. This should go nice and smooth. Just basically, you just want to skim the top and uncap. It's not rocket science, but it sure is fun and interesting to me anyway. Glad I can share it with you. So every frame, all 20 frames, we're just going to go through just like this, uncap it, and take our capping knife or our uncapping tool and get the spots we couldn't get with the hot knife, and that's it. The alternative to this is squeezing it out and basically wasting all of this good wax and drawn comb, which is just super wasteful, I think. The bees will keep reusing it and reusing it and reusing it until it's all used up. Then you can crunch it up and waste it. This one is oozing and dripping with delicious honey, and we're going to put it over here in the extractor. One thing you really want to ensure with your honey is that you do not introduce it to moisture. Moisture will cause that honey to go to sugar. Now in the air is naturally occurring yeast, and yeast will also do it too. The biggest thing you can do to ensure that your honey does not go to sugar is to keep moisture away from it. Moisture is the enemy. And when you extract, you want your honey to be hot also, so that it oozes out nicely into your extractor. Honey is acidic, very acidic, and it will exfoliate your hands. So, not that we need that, since we're both nurses and we wash our hands 83 times a day. No, 830 times a day. So let's talk a little bit. Let's educate a little bit. If you don't extract your honey within 2 or 3 days of taking it out of the hive, the bees aren't working the honey. The bees are not taking care of this, and you'll get right here. You see this? It's like a silk, and that's from a wax moth larvae, okay? So if you leave it alone on the counter, it will get wax moth larvae in it, and they look like little maggots, but they're just little larvae and basically caterpillars that crawl around and eat the honey. So what the bees are doing constantly when they're working with the honey is they're constantly cleaning and mopping up and getting those little larvae out and those little eggs out. So they're always in there cleaning up. And when you take the honey out of the hive, they're no longer going to be cleaning that up. So the eggs that are laying on the top or the outside of your capped honey will hatch, and they will start to grow larvae. So you got to jump on it. We learned that lesson. We took honey out of our beehives and we went to the beach for a week, and we came back and it was just full of little wormy caterpillars, and we basically ruined our honey harvest, our first honey harvest. It wasn't much, but it was still a shame to had ruined it. And I'll tell you a secret, we really didn't ruin it so much, we just used it for ourselves. We knew we couldn't sell it because it had those little goobers in it. So something you got to think about. There are all sorts of little critters inside the honeybee hive trying to lay eggs and take your sweet little honey. Alright, this is our last frame, and we're going to go ahead and start using the extractor. I'll show you what it does right now. We'll get to cranking on it, and then I'll show you the honey pouring out of it. And at the end of the video here, we'll give you a few tips. Guys, I want you to do me a big favor right now. Go over to Wrangler Star's page and click his most recent video and leave a comment that Stoney Ridge Farmer is getting honey ready for you. Go check his video out. Send him a link to the video. He really helped us out with the channel when we first got started, and I know a lot of you people may not like him. You may like him. You may like what his content's all about. But he really helped the channel out a whole lot. He told me, he gave me guidance that I really needed, and guidance that I passed on to other people that are starting new YouTube channels. So go over to Wrangler Star's page and leave him a comment or leave him a message and tell him Stoney Ridge Farmer is making your honey today. All right? So inside the extractor is our uncapped honey, and here's our crank arm. And basically, we'll just start slowly cranking it. Look at that. So it's just oozing right out onto the wall. It's really cool to watch this, I think. That's about how fast I'm cranking it. And you can just see that delicious honey, and the smell, the aroma is just coming out of here. So delicious. And that's just slinging honey right on there, and it hits the walls. It runs down the wall to our honey gate right here. Now, is Mrs. Stoney Ridge ready to get her arm workout on?
Let's do it.
So one thing you have to be careful with these is this thing is spinning, but the handle has disengaged. So it'll engage just like that, or it'll disengage. You got to continue to crank the same way all the time, and if you've got long hair, you should put it up. That way it doesn't get caught in the extractor and pull your head down into it. And we used to have a 30 frame electric one. And Mrs. Stoney Ridge I said, look down in there and smell it. She said, oh, okay. And she leaned right over it with her hair, and it went down in there. And I had to snatch her back before she got sucked in there, and it was running with a motor. So it would have pulled her head down in there, and who knows what, she would have looked like after that. Spin it on up, fast as you can. Okay, and then let it go. And let it do its work. Let's talk about the honey gate. So we'll open the honey gate right here, and we'll start allowing honey to pour out through. Here we go. Moment of truth. Look at that. Alright, so the honey will start to flow out of here, and this will catch the big particles, and that will catch the small particles, and we'll have filtered honey. Beautiful, raw, filtered honey. It's really cool. Beautiful stuff. So guys, I'll give you a few final tips. If you're extracting honey, moisture is the enemy. Try to keep it covered. Try to take care of it. Moisture is the enemy. Make sure your honey is warm so that it flows well. Make sure your house is cool and it's not moist inside the house. So you want a cool place to work because it's a long process, it's a hot process, and you get it done and you'll be super duper happy with the results. Also, be sure when you get ready to clean up afterwards, because you're going to have stuff that has wax on it and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you clean it with cold water, not hot water. It seems counterintuitive. It seems like you'd want to clean it with hot water, but hot water will melt the wax and make a big mess where cold water won't do that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video. We're going to get you just a little bit more footage of the honey kind of flowing here. We're not going to jar it up today. What we're going to do, we'll put it in buckets, and it has to settle for a couple days. So we'll put it in a nice warm spot in the buckets, and all the sediment and all the little wax and stuff and bubbles get in this stuff really bad. They'll all float to the top, and then we'll open the honey gate at the bottom and fill our jars up. So it'll be fun. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time on Stoney Ridge Farm Channel. Be sure and pound that like button. Thought we'd show you the process of how to extract honey today. We'll see you next time. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell, it'll notify you when I post a new video, and we'll see you on the Stoney Ridge Farm again. Alright? Woo!
Well, come on down to Stoney Ridge, bring your wife and bring your kids.